Hi, I'm Jay Polaki, and this is the HRBytes podcast, where HR practitioners share their think globally and act locally digital HR agenda. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the HRBytes podcast. I'm Jay Polaki, your host, and my guest today is Velia Murillo. Hi, Velia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me to your podcast, Jay. I appreciate it. I know you've had a lot of incredible talent in our space, so I'm honored to be here.
Velia, you've been in the HR space as an HR team of one for quite some time now. And it's quite a challenge being on an HR team, leave alone being an HR team of one. Tell us a little bit about your challenges and what's exciting you in the HR function today.
That's a great question. I am, in fact, a team of one. Currently, I'm form part of the executive leadership team at Treble Music. We're a music application, and at Treble, I serve as a global HR head of people. And I was the first HR hire, so I'm responsible as a team of one to successfully create our HR operations and build everything from scratch. So that's very, very exciting to me. I get to I'm not scared to break anything. I can't break anything. I can only make things better and just continue to support our business growth. I lead the efforts in positive employee relations of over 100 plus talented folks internationally across cultures and time zones, languages in the US, Mexico, Armenia, Indonesia, Brazil, and Colombia. And because of our music application, we are expected to continue entering new markets. And what does that mean for a team of one? Well, I'm going to have more talent across the map.
Wonderful. Well, if anything breaks, you always have the music, right?
That's right. There's always something that's going to uplift me. So you're right. Treble Music was perfect.
So, Velia, there's so much automation in our function. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of the technology that's coming at us at lightning speed. How do you think we should be approaching automation and AI for the HR function today? And you're an HR leader, a global HR leader today, as an HR team of one. So, where are the challenges and where are the great advantages with all of this new tech?
Well, first, we want to approach this thoughtfully, right? So as HR leaders, we want to understand the specific pain points and challenges within our organization and where we could benefit the most from AI automation, or even treating it as an AI personal assistant. Which again, in my current role, a team of one, having a virtual buddy is perfect. This involves just conducting thorough assessment of our current HR processes, sort of the landscape of your HR, and just identify repetitive tasks, administrative workloads. Where are the areas where you're finding errors or inefficiencies that are occurring? Once we identify that, Jay, then as leaders we can prioritize which processes to automate based on impact, productivity, accuracy, and then, of course, the most important is just employee experience. We know that AI is helping with automation, saving time with like first drafts, messaging, setting the right tone. But we also know that there's limitations of the automation and AI technologies relevant to HR. So I tend to follow a sort of a golden rule: less is more. Everything in moderation. And what I mean by that in HR is that we don't have to force AI into every single project or every single area of our work. However, to ensure that AI or HR stays relevant with the AI evolution, we don't stay behind, and we can't be scared of it. We need to be cautious, embrace it cautiously, and just make informed decisions.
Wonderful. And in the midst of all this, you mentioned how important it is to keep the human at the heart of this, right? So, how do we keep that human touch in the midst of all this technological revolution that's happening in our world of work?
I say, the most important thing in HR, we hear it in everything. So it's back to the basics. Prioritize empathy, prioritize communication, ensure you're listening. And in my everyday uh, global function, I have to make sure that there's always that human connection. So you're always having to make those special moments with your staff. And while technology enhances efficiency and streamlines processes, it's crucial that HR ultimately remembers that our function is people first, right? That means going back to personalizing the support. If you're going to use AI, make sure it's personalized. Keep that in mind. Foster that trust and collaboration with the ability to also leverage technology and augment it wherever possible, so you still have that human touch element even in this digital age.
Well, we hear a lot of thought leaders, CEOs of big technology companies out there talking about how AI is going to outsmart us humans in as little as a year's time to 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
Where do you see our HR function in all this? And what do you foresee for HR in general?
I think that's a great question. I think we as I mentioned earlier, we can't be scared. Technology comes in and out of our lives uh, more frequently nowadays, but it doesn't change the human. We're not going to turn into robots. There might be robots in our foreseeable future, but we're not going to turn into robots. So I think when we think about this, what's going to happen is that if we utilize our AI correctly, we can actually take some of the hard human functions of our role and turn it into something positive. I can give you a perfect example. We can use AI, consider it to enhance human interaction scenarios. For example, we can use AI to describe a specific hard topic or a hard discussion that you're about to broach with your employee. And before you go into a real life scenario to have that person face to face or virtually in this case, you can take those scenarios and lay them out as a question, as a prompt in your virtual AI buddy, right? And let that serve as a AI coach. So you're basically playing out these scenarios. What can go wrong? What should I change? What if I say this? And just kind of prepare. And so you, as a leader, and even as you're supporting other leaders, managers, and departments, you're allowing them in a very risk-free environment with AI technologies to practice their decision making, their conflict resolution. So there's so much more good than I see bad. I'm of the camp of professionals that thinks this is a good thing. It's going to elevate my role. It's going to make me more valuable, more credible, faster. And so I'm excited to what's happening here. We just have to be open minded.
Absolutely. When you said that we're not going to be robots, the first thing that flashed across my mind was this Bruce Willis movie where he's got these clones of his going to work.
You
and
know, we've been preparing for this for a long time, Jay. Even when we were relaxing and watching movies, we were preparing for this particular technology time that we're in. So we're good. We're gonna be
yeah,
good.
wonderful. So really, on that same note, I know it feels like a sci-fi movie sometimes, like we just talked about. What are you most worried about this year for our function in general? And if you had a magic wand, what would be your ideal solution to, get rid of that particular challenge?
Well, I mean, HR, is also known for being, magicians. So I think that the reality is that the things that worry me that are probably not different than any other profession, even though we were HR experts. I would say balancing the technology advancement with the ethical considerations, particularly regarding data privacy and AI bias. Speaking with other HR executives, some companies are moving a lot faster with implementing these technologies, these advances in HR. Um, and we don't have to, not everybody is going to move in the same pace, right? This is not a one size fits all. But I would say just the solution here is to just keep an eye on the evolving development with comprehensive and ethical guidelines from regulatory frameworks for AI and data. And now data has had frameworks for a while, right? We know GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California. But as long as we continue to keep an eye on country, state, federal laws, which in our function we sort of have to, we can just keep an eye out for any guidance to prevent any real risks and issues. I know professional associations like SHRM, for example, they offer great guidance, and if you're not a member, you can still get some of that for free. So just balancing, keeping innovation at the forefront, but then just being responsible about how you apply it in your workday.
Wonderful. And, if we are talking about all of this today, it's because it's front and center. I mean, it's hitting our desk every single minute. I think we don't pass on the opportunity to hear or talk about AI in every single interaction these days when we are talking to our HR colleagues. So, what's one piece of advice you have for HR professionals who are looking to adopt or learn new technology?
It's we're learning together, so I don't think there any bad suggestion or bad guidance. There's no bad guidance. I think it's just how you apply it. I think just prioritizing learning agility and adaptability, as I mentioned earlier, just having that, embracing a growth mindset and being open to exploring these tools and methodologies to enhance our HR practices. Focusing on the understanding on the broader implications of the technology adoption, and just remembering, who we're serving. How is it going to impact our employee experience? Legally, how is it going to impact, data privacy? How are we treating that? And just being ethical, just doing the right thing, which is, I think, out of all professions, HR is known for doing the right thing, even when no one is looking. And so I think if we keep that in mind, and sort of move about, the plane, with caution, we should be okay. There's so many resources, Jay, and you know this better than most. We don't have to commit to investing in AI if we don't feel comfortable. I work for a startup, and so we're always very mindful of where we're spending our time and our resources. But I also am very, very lucky. I work for an organization that is a music technology company. So I can't be behind in what's happening in this, but we can utilize free services. There's vendors that possibly even offer the opportunity to beta test the platforms and give your feedback, your improvement points in return. So you don't have to make a full commitment. You can still experience it hands-on in a safe, controlled environment.
Wonderful. Well, that brings us to the funner part of this conversation. If you haven't been having fun so far, it's the question connection section where I ask you a rapid fire round of questions so our audience can connect better with you. Ready?
Great, I'm ready.
Who is one person in your network that you've gained in the past year in the HR tech space that you would like everyone to learn about and connect with?
HR professionals, we're very friendly. So we make a lot of connections pretty quickly and pretty fast, especially on LinkedIn, which is a great tool. I'm always on for recruitment and talent acquisition and all that good stuff. But one particular person that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, hopefully I don't butcher her name. I believe it's Amanda Haley. She is a tech advisor. She is a speaker on all things AI. She comes to mind because I recently listened to a webinar she was on. Again, the subject of AI, we can't escape it, like you said. And she's very interesting, and she speaks about it in a way that is non-scary, right? It's you take it, these nuggets of information, and she's really great. She has a newsletter, Unraveling AI, I believe it's called, and I can share that information later with you. So with our viewers, they can also take advantage of again, Amanda Haley.
Nice. I will link that in the show notes as well. What's your favorite HR podcast or HR related book?
Besides yours, Dave, besides yours, I would say I have two. There is one called Future of HR, And then there's another one that is the modern people leader. The modern people leader, I've caught a lot more of those podcasts just because I've been lucky. A lot of the connections that I've made on LinkedIn, they've been featured. They've been speakers on this podcast. So it just brings me a little closer to understanding them and how they work. But these are two great options out there.
Wonderful. And we are curating an HR playlist for working from anywhere. What's your song?
I feel like this question was made for me, just from the company I work for, Travel Music. I can't say one because I have so many, but I'm gonna say two. I would say these are oldies but goodies. I would say I'm a Survivor, Destiny's Child, and I'm Still Standing. I believe that one's Elton John. I think it just speaks volumes to everything that HR has been going through. All industries and professions have been impacted by the last few very tough, very challenging years, but I think those two songs could be themes for any HR pro.
Thank you. So, is there a LinkedIn Learning or an e-learning webinar that you'd recommend for our HR colleagues to learn from related to HR technology?
Um, I I have not had the opportunity to take the courses, but there was one that was recently recommended to me. I was part of a webinar. A panelist suggested generative AI in HR, and I believe that is a LinkedIn e-learning course.
Thank you. And how do you enjoy giving back to the HR community, Velia? You know, you do a lot in your community, but specifically, how do you like giving back to the HR community?
Um, I think this particular activity, speaking with you, sharing the little bit or the lot that I've learned in my 25 years of HR work, attending podcasts, being available. I don't know about you, but I've been receiving just very sporadic requests from younger HR professionals that are trying to transition. Maybe they've been laid off and they're trying to transition into HR, and even outside of the HR community, just as an HR professional trying to give back to all the talent that's been laid off. I've been giving free time, just kind of going over people's resumes and giving tips and suggestions on how they can, have successful interviews and how to approach connecting with the companies that they're seeking. So I just try to give back. In my career, people have always, helped me, and I think it's only right that I do the same and give back.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I'm sure our listeners and audience have learned a lot from the insights you've shared. If they'd like to connect with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Oh, on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn. There's not very many Velias out there, so Velia Murillo on LinkedIn, you'll find me easily. I'm happy to connect.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, Velia. And thank you, audience, for joining us today. Have a wonderful week and day ahead.
Thank you.
Listen on your favorite podcast channels and watch us on YouTube. Follow us on social. We are on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Join our budding community on LinkedIn and Facebook. Ask, answer, advise.